Christy?
Who is Christy? I am at heart a worshiper first. Everything I do in life, my passions and what drives me, it all stems from my love of Christ. I'm a silly girl. I love to kick it back and laugh. I'm passionate about people living life to the fullness of what God has predestined them to be. And that really sums up who I am. Just a regular girl from Brooklyn. I'm Haitian. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And I just love to see people thriving in the way that they should be according to the gospel of Jesus Christ.
What inspires you to do what you do?
I think my story and what I've gone through and experiencing just the darkness of depression and seeing how life can come after it and you can be totally different from what you've experienced. You don't have to be chained down to that experience that you've had being lonely, depressed, or even people who, go through substance abuse or are sexually abused. You don't have to be chained to that. So knowing that and experiencing the fact that I've been saved from that and been reformed in the fullness of Christ, that inspires me to just go for it. I have times where I feel fearful and, a little insecure, but then I look back to the cross and I remember I have the power to really move forward and do what God has called me to do because He's already conquered sin, He's conquered shame, He's conquered condemnation, and so I'm free to be and I'm free to go forward and inspire others to come along and experience this fullness of life.
What made you want to write this book?
I've actually been writing this book since I was 12. So after, I go through the whole story in the book, but when I was 11, and between the ages of 11 and 12, the depression that I was going through reached its max. And so I was ready to give up on life. I was suicidal. I was doing different things, cutting myself, trying to end my life. And after I experienced the saving grace of God, literally He put His hand in my life and picked me up out of that situation. After I experienced that, I started writing it down, and I had a little composition notebook, and it was with green ink, a green gel pen, and I wrote in cursive. I had the name of the book, Not Forgotten, and I just started writing down what I went through. And then I put the book away and forgot about it for years. I shared my story here and there as I felt led to, but then it wasn't until last summer of 2016, that I heard God's voice, and He was just like, you need to find that composition book and you need to write this book. You need to not hide what I've done, because there are people who are waiting to hear your story because they too are going through the same thing, or they know someone who's going through the same thing that you went through, and they need to know that there's hope and that I can save them and that they don't have to be limited to the way that they live.
Why is it important that people hear your story?
I think it's important that people hear my story because it's something that's not really talked about in the church, mainly. Suicide, depression, body image issues. These are things that a lot of people go through, but no one really talks about. You see now in society, they're starting to talk more about cyberbullying and different types of experiences that children go through in middle school, high school, even in elementary school. It's starting younger and younger, but just the pressures of life, you're seeing it more in society and mainstream society. But I think people need to hear my story because they need to know that you don't have to live that type of life. You don't have to feel alone. You don't have to be in this funk all the time. You don't have to feel like there's no way out. You don't have to feel like there's this perpetual darkness around you. You can live a full life. And, I'm not just this life coach these are 10 steps to having a better life. No, it's coming to Jesus and laying down your life and letting Him work in you. And then you will see things begin to shift, because that's literally what happened to me. And so I think people need to hear the story because they need to know that there's hope. They need to know that they don't have to be bound down by what circumstance says. They don't need to be limited by what they think of themselves, because sometimes we ourselves can be our own barrier. And they need to know that Jesus saves. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know who's done what to you, but there's nothing under the sun that Jesus can't save you and heal you from. And so that's why I think people need to hear my story, and they need to know there's someone there that loves you. Even if you feel you're alone, even if you feel you've been abandoned by everyone, even if you feel like you yourself, you don't have it in yourself to go forward, there's someone who cares, and his name is Jesus Christ.
What can we expect next from Christy?
What can we expect next? Well, the book release, it's going to be July 15th. It's going to be available on Amazon, and in person if you're in the New York area and you want to reach out and get a autographed copy, you can definitely do that. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. But after the release of this book, I think that life is going to change in the way that my focus is going to be not just sharing the story, but also getting people to the place where they know the information. Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, you're saying all this stuff. You're saying all this great stuff. You're saying I don't have to be bogged down by my circumstance. You're saying that I don't have to live alone. But how? What were the steps that you took to becoming whole? What were the steps that you took to healing and becoming a better person? And I think that is the next project that I'm going to be working on, a series of teachings and a series of seminars that are going to really walk people through that healing process and that deliverance process. And after you're healed and after you're delivered, who are you? Who have you been made to be? What purpose has God put in you? These are things that I'm just so passionate about, because for the past years, God has been doing that in me. After he healed me, while he was healing me, he let me know, okay, you're my daughter. You're called. I love you. You're not forgotten. See, not forgotten. This is something that I've been repeating to myself, because sometimes it can feel like you're forgotten. It can feel like, no one really notices you in the hustle and bustle of life, day-to-day life. But okay, you're saying all these things, I'm not forgotten, but after that, you're healed. Okay, so what do I do with life now? Where do I go from here? Well, there's purpose in you. Like, God has put gifts and talents in you. Where's your sphere of influence? Where do you need to go so that you can thrive and bring others into a place where they're thriving and they're living out their purpose? And so these are some of the things that you can look forward to. Different Bible studies and books to be released, and music. That's another thing that I'm working on. Just expect to see me pour out, because now's the time. One of my favorite verses in Romans, it says that the earth is groaning and moaning and waiting for the revelation of the sons and daughters of God. And I think now more than ever, it's time for me to step out and encourage everyone I know and everyone who sees me. Come on, let's step out so that the world can know there's something about this. It's not just us shouting and dancing and not doing this, not having sex, not drinking. There's more to it. And if you walk and come along and experience it, you're gonna see and you're gonna be changed forever.